Hello guys, I'm just doing a video here today, just to keep up with my routine of doing videos. So today I'm sort of feeling okay. Not feeling overly great, but I'm trying to be more positive, so I can't really complain about anything. Still just the same sort of feeling every day, like sort of feeling like I'm stuck where I am. Today I'm going to my voluntary job. That's 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, so it's only 4 hours. So I'm doing that today, and then later I should be playing music with my friend. I did say yesterday that I would start replying to people online again, but yesterday I just sort of turned my phone off really, and I just sat and I watched South Park all day. Watching South Park sort of gives me a bit of a lift because it's funny, so I like to watch comedy really to cheer me up. But I was finding that I probably watched about 2 seasons of it just back to back, sort of ignoring the world. And then I went to my boxing club last night, and I'd done a good bit of training for an hour. So I went to bed quite early yesterday to try and make sure I got up early this morning, and I did get up fairly early this morning. I could have got out of bed a bit earlier though, and got a move on, but at 11 I got out of the house and just went for a drive and I had a wee smoke. But now I'm on my way to the chemist, so I'm going to get my subs. I also have to get a prescription for my Suboxone today. My prescription runs out every 2 weeks, so it's been 2 weeks since I handed in the last one. So I've got my dose for today, and then tomorrow I will need that prescription, so I really should get that today. Aside from keeping on top of my prescription, I'm not really doing anything, so I need to start doing what I know will help, planning goals and setting goals for myself. I do plan on getting to a meeting. There will be one on tomorrow night. Apologies. Sorry, my mouth is just full of phlegm because of the cigarettes. I really need to stop smoking cigarettes as well, but I can't take on too much at once. I am still smoking weed to try and get through all this, which does help, but for me it only sort of helps me sit and laze about all day and waste the day. So if I'm going to start setting goals and achieving them, I really need to stop smoking weed, because for me it just holds me back. It's probably the way I smoke it. I don't smoke joints. I would only smoke like, I don't know what you would call them in America, but like a gravity bong, I think Americans call them. It's sort of where you fill up water and you have aluminum foil on the top and you burn it until the water falls out, and you smoke it all in one go. So I've always sort of smoked weed that way, and I sort of think that's why I'm always so really stoned after. So I don't know guys, it's time for me to really start engaging with my recovery, but I'm holding myself back. I'm not allowing myself to engage with it. I have been watching videos online of people. I forget the YouTube handles now, but I'm watching the normal ones like Real Talk Recovery and Rockin' Alberta and Derek and things like that. So I am getting a lot of good advice from all walks of life. I wish I could just start giving some good advice myself, but like I'm in a position to help. I have been clean now over a week, so there is that, and I'm staying clean. At the minute, I sort of feel like I'm at the start of a long period of cleanness, being clean, because I really don't have an urge to use right now. When I started these videos, I was sort of going through an urge to use. It was a week since I had last used when I started these videos. I lasted a week doing the videos, and then I used as it documented. So yeah, I just feel like I need to give myself more time. Well, I know I need to give myself more time, but I feel like I need to change straight away. But that's probably the mistake I'm making. I'm not giving myself enough time away from the drug to really grow. So I just need to breathe more and sort of accept that this is a process that I take a day at a time. So I don't need to make all the changes today. Just small changes a day at a time really would be what helps. See, could you not have slowed down? Like, holy shit! I got run over by a bus. Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, I need to start just setting small goals for myself. So today I'm going to my voluntary job. That's a goal for me. I missed last Tuesday because of the relapse last Sunday. So this week I should be more on form and just less, I think going out on the weekend didn't really help matters. I had an alright time. I met a few new people, but I ended up drunk, so I don't even really remember the people I was speaking to. I am speaking to some nice people online. I was watching a video that Debbie had done, Miss Cray Cray, Debbie. So she's been quite helpful. I need to reply to a comment from her I seen this morning. I've just been in the car most of the morning, so since 11. So I'll get on that tomorrow, or sorry, after I get home. At the minute, I sort of just feel like going home, smoking weed and chilling today. But I've done enough chilling over my life. I'm chilled out to the max, so I need to start living more. I sort of do feel, really since the start of this video, I feel a bit more confident. I know that everybody is sort of going through anxiety and things, even people who aren't addicted to drugs. So in some ways I feel like being an addict, in a way it's sort of toughened me to anxiety, that I am able to deal with it just by keeping going. I don't ever feel suicidal, but I do often have thoughts of life not worth living. But today I could feel like that today, but I'm just not letting myself feel that way. I've just realised I've taken a wrong turn, but it doesn't matter. It'll just be a longer video then. Maybe I'll tell you guys about something I'm planning to tell you about. When I first started using, basically I was loving it. I found something that would just put me into oblivion. This was before I was on Suboxone, and I must have been using for about 3 weeks, and I'd already had so many different contacts within 3 weeks of using, because the guys that I was getting off, it was like a hotline service, so you rang the number and they would tell you where they were selling heroin, and you would show up and there'd be 10 other junkies there, maybe more sometimes, and we'd all be waiting on a bag. And sometimes the Russians wouldn't show up, or they wouldn't have enough bags, So the other junkies who were there would be like, right, I know a guy, and sort of your list of contacts just built from then on. And it got to the stage where if the Russians weren't on, you had someone else you could get off, or if you couldn't afford the Russians' bags, you would have someone who would sell you 1.25 grams for £100. So you were getting more for your money, and there'd be other stuff that was stronger than the Russians. So I got into a routine of using. I had about £2,000 saved at that point in my life, so I was starting to get my act together before I started using heroin. But I'd always wanted, well, I had tried it before, you see. I smoked it for a while before, but I never got addicted to it. Well, I think I was getting addicted to it, but I didn't get withdrawals or anything, and I lost my contact for using. So fast forward about 2 years, and I discovered these Russians and in Belfast, and they can get you gear anytime really. And then I found out there was a needle exchange as well, so I started injecting. And as soon as I started injecting, it took about 2 or 3 weeks, and then I noticed that I was getting sick every time I finished my gear. The next day I would feel sick, and I would just go, fuck, I really need a bag. So I would go and get a bag, not knowing that I was just making myself more and more addicted. But before I ever started, I had booked a holiday to Ibiza, and Ibiza's in Spain. Well, it's an island near Spain, but yeah, it's a big party place. Before I started using gear, I was a real big party head. I used to go out and party every weekend and take coke and ecstasy and stuff. But my mates who were going with me to Ibiza had sort of noticed that I wasn't going out as much. I wasn't showing up for nights out at all, and if I did go out for a night out, I would end up disappearing, and I would disappear so I could go and use, and I would just go home. Because when I'm on gear, I do still feel like I can party, but I would need to drink a lot of alcohol to sort of get my confidence, to get a lot of confidence. Because gear wouldn't exactly give me loads of confidence; it would just make me feel fine. So yeah, I stopped partying as much, and I just started spending a lot of time by myself and a lot of time on the train. I was also working at this point. I had a full-time, well actually I had a part-time job, but I upgraded my hours to full-time because I started noticing my money was going down and down and down. So it got to a stage where I was working 1:30 in the afternoon until 10 o'clock. So every morning I would get up at 9:30. I would head up to Belfast at 10 o'clock, and the Russians, they opened their phone line at 10 o'clock. So at 10 o'clock I would ring, find out where I needed to go in Belfast, and I would be there. Now the reason I would go so early is because the first thing in the morning it's easier to meet them, and there's not as many people looking to get their gear in the morning. If you leave it till about 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, then it really could take an hour or 2 hours to get served. So I would go up at 10 o'clock, and then the odd time it would take 2 hours to get sorted. So by 12 you were sorted. It would take me half an hour to get my gear ready, and then I would use, and then head up to work for 1 o'clock. So I would use half of a bag before work. I would use half of a bag on the lunch break, the last half of it, and then I would have another bag to get me through that night, and then I would start the whole cycle again the next day. So I was earning £50 a day, and I was spending £50 a day. So that couldn't last, and it didn't last. And eventually I was in Ibiza. I went on holiday, but before I went to Ibiza, I lifted out, I bought 3 bags of gear, and I used them all in the early hours of the morning before going to Ibiza. And I headed off to Ibiza thinking, I already knew at that point I was getting sick, but I hadn't experienced cold turkey properly, because every time I got sick I would just go up and use. But in Ibiza, the only thing that made me feel a bit better was going out and looking for drugs, and I found grass, and I found coke. I didn't buy coke, and I also found what I thought was heroin, but it was actually ecstasy. The guy had it wrapped up in something like this, like tinfoil. So I just started getting sick, going through pure cold turkey. I was vomiting. I was needing to go to the toilet, but I couldn't. It was a sight. The whole hotel room was just, well, it was more a bin that I had in the hotel room. I was using this bin to vomit in, and it was about that much full of just body fluids. And at that point, my mates had rang my mum to tell her that I was a heroin addict, basically. The child's mum had found out just before that because of social services. Basically, I had tried to get Suboxone, and I tried to get methadone really, but it was sort of getting a bit intense for me, so I sort of dropped out of the addiction clinic. But they had taken my details, and they had tracked my son down to his first day of nursery, and on the first day of nursery, the social services social worker went up to his mum and asked, "Did you know this child's father has been injecting heroin?" And she didn't believe it to start with. She was actually quite cheeky to she was quite rude to them, saying, "Fuck off, you're not telling the truth." And she rang me, and I'd sort of said it wasn't true, which was a lie, and then I eventually texted her and told her it was true, because they were coming out to investigate her, and she doesn't take drugs or anything. She never did. But that point, I'd lost my child. At that point, I couldn't see him anymore. I was still going up and using, and I was like, right, I'm going to Ibiza here, so I'll go to Ibiza, I'll go through cold turkey, and then I'll get home and I'll be clean. But in Ibiza, I just couldn't do it. I lasted a few days. I kept going up to the hospital, and they kept giving me diazepam, benzos. So it was sort of taking the edge off, but it was not helping. And my mates took control of the benzos, because the doctor told my mate to take control of them and to give me one in the morning and one at night. But I needed more than that, because they really weren't helping me too much. Yeah, it was horrible. And then I left. I booked the plane home. I couldn't afford to do that, but I spent the very last of my money to get home. And I got home, and my mum picked me up. And I'll never forget going home that day, and my mum took a picture of me, because my eyes, she said she hadn't seen my eyes as clear as they were that day. Something about going through cold turkey, it made me look like I was really better, and I really wish I had have continued that cold turkey, because I lasted 5 days, so I really was over the worst of it. But I quit after 5 days. I didn't find the cravings had went away any, and I watched a film. It's a good film with Al Pacino in it, where he's a heroin addict. It's called Panic in Needle Park. I watched that, and that film just fucked me up. As soon as they started using in that film, I jumped on my bike, cycled up to Belfast, and I relapsed. And then I rang my mum and told her. And at that point, we just decided that I needed to be on opiate replacement. And then the rest really is history. I went into the social worker in the addiction clinic. He sort of apologised for reporting me to the social services. He said he only did it because I broke off contact with him, which is probably true. Also, my mum had rang him at one point when I was missing an appointment to say she didn't know why I was missing, but I had my son, and that was how they figured out I had access to my son, and then I lost him that way. But I never held a grudge against my mum for that, because of how much I'd already put her through, and it she was just trying to help. But the rest really is history. I've been on subs now for 5 years since then. And this is where I'm at now, so I'm going to cut this video short because it's probably going to use all my storage here and I might lose the video. So thanks for anyone who's watched this. It's very long, it's probably my longest video. I'm waiting to get my subs now and hopefully I'll have a better day, and I will try and get back to you today. When I'm in work I should be able to reply better. It's just when I'm sitting at home watching TV, it takes me ages to reply, and half the time I don't even look at my phone. So I'll go here, and please keep watching and keep liking and subscribing because it really does help to know that there's support out there for me. Everyone stay clean and keep safe. Cheerio now.